Okay, guys, so welcome back. This is Chat with Charlie. Today we got Mr Bewlay on, so say hello to everyone who doesn't know who you are.
Hi guys. Yes. Thank you for having me on, Mr. J.
Yeah. So I was,
For you guys who don't already know, me and Charlie have already been acquainted before.
we have.
He was the dashing young protagonist of the music video Her Name is Juniper that I released back in October.
Oh, it's a while ago
So
now.
I'm very excited to be on the show, Charlie.
Thank you. Yeah, and I always found it interesting because I remember when I asked you about your name, and I remember you were like, "Oh yeah, that's just my name." And then I feel bad now. One of my mates told me to listen to David Bowie's 1971 album, and he's got the Bewlay Brothers is like the last track, and I'm like, "Yo."
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Yeah.
so that's where it came. Well, I mean, I take that's where it came from. I don't know if you were named after that or your artist name came from it, but
Yeah, I was named after the track, which is quite nice because I'm such a big fan of Bowie. I mean, obviously I've
yeah,
got a first name, but I mean
yeah,
it just happens. It just happened that coincidentally that I've got the same name as a. See, the name Bewlay comes from pipes, which
mm,
is what Bowie referenced. The song itself is kind of about his half brother, but also a bit of a word salad kind of track. And yeah, it just kind of seemed like perfect coincidence that I should share a second name with a song that one of my heroes wrote, which is quite nice. I think that's poetic. That is.
yeah. And it fits your style too, because like I think again to people who haven't heard your music, I'd say it's quite like 80s inspired. It's sort of it does go. It's not like you got this name and you decided to do country music or something, or or become a hip hop artist.
Well,
It fits.
that's the thing, really, because I've got the tracks that I'm releasing at the moment are very retro 80s inspired, but that's
Mm,
not really my um definitive genre, really. I've got some new songs and some new recordings which are coming out later this year, which very much subvert what people expect. You
mm,
see, this is the thing. This has kind of followed me throughout my entire life, which is that people always try to make assumptions about me, and they always seem to be wrong. They always seem to be
mm.
right a little bit, but they always seem
Yeah.
to be wrong about it. And so I kind of revel in that. The idea of always leave them surprised, always turn up with something that they wouldn't expect you to do. So at the
Mm,
moment, the whole retro 80s synth wave, synth pop kind of thing, it's going well. But I mean, the tracks I released before that were completely different to that. And I released some songs back in December, which were completely different from that as well.
yeah.
They all have that Bewlay touch, but it's all
Yeah.
I
The ones in December, they were like all like piano ballads and stuff, weren't they? If I remember.
yeah, it was very much stripped back. I just had this opportunity to record on a grand piano, and
Mm,
so I whipped up 3 or 4 songs, and didn't have any backing musicians, didn't have any other instruments. It was just a voice and me,
mm.
and it was very much just something a bit more intimate, um, a bit more sensitive, and a little bit more, you know. I was going to say calm, but not so much calm. But you know what I mean. A bit more
Yeah.
revealing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was interesting because I felt like her name is Juniper and like Dan the Don and all that. I almost feel like there's almost like your character is sort of evolving and there's a sort of story around your character. That's one of the things I like about you as an artist is there is sort of like this like for example, someone could write a comic book about like Mr Bewlay and they could do all the cartoons and stuff. They could have like all these stories and all that, but like I feel like a lot of people don't have that. So I feel it's good to see the sort of progression in you as a character, the stories that are told, and like I do get that this piano thing was sort of like a side piece. It was more sort of
Mm.
separate from that main trajectory, which I see your artists going. So I'm interested to see like when this 80s stuff sort of, as you said, if you're going to hit us with a curveball, like is it going to be like a bit like the
It's no
weekend?
longer a surprise now, is it?
I know,
I've already
but
revealed it.
but we don't know when it's going to happen. Is it going to be like when the weekend? I swear, yeah, I swear he killed his character off in one of the music videos for After Hours. The one where he's got like the red suit and stuff, and like, I mean,
Yes,
obviously it
yeah.
comes back, and then he's got like all the plastic surgery on his face. But that's what it reminds me
See,
sort
I'm a
of.
big fan. I'm a big fan of like MF Doom. Rest in
Yeah,
peace,
rest in
obviously
peace.
now.
Yeah,
Um, And like someone like him, or even like well, I mean, going back to him, someone like Bowie as well, making lots of characters, or someone like Ray Davis of the Kinks. These people who, when they write a song, it doesn't have to be, this is what I feel and this is what I'm trying to tell people. It can just be a self-contained story. So something like Dan the Don Wilson, for example, the song I released back in...
Oh, we dropped out.
what was it, March, I think?
Yeah.
That was very much a story about a character, and the character doesn't exist, and the character is okay. It takes influence from people I know and from references that I've seen. But at the end of the day, I think if you're just going to write songs about your own feelings, then you're going to hit a wall at some point unless you live everything you need to say. So I'm starting off with, this is a world that I'm creating, and these are the characters that inhabit that world.
That's sick. Yeah, it's like a multiverse, like.
Like yeah. It's like my very own comic book, but it's an audio form.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, I'm glad you got that, because I was looking through as well your Spotify bio, and the thing that sort of stuck out to me as well was I'm just looking, it's like mentored by, and then I saw Adam Ivy, and I'm like, yo. Yeah. With his all his music marketing.
I signed up to the Cell Music Masterclass back in 2019.
Yeah.
And I spent a year just kind of watching him, really, because I kind of thought I'd done the songwriting thing and I'd done the performance thing, and the thing that I was lacking most was just like the marketing and the PR stuff.
Yeah.
And it's such, I mean, you know, back in the day, 20, 30, 40 years ago, to do that, you either do grassroots stuff in which your fans do it for you, word of mouth, or you pay someone to do it. Nowadays, because there is a platform that everyone uses and that anyone can master if they put a little bit of time and effort into it, if you don't learn how to market yourself, you're at a detriment. And I mean, I'm kind of lucky, really, because I do, you know, my side hustle is doing a bit of modeling. So, I mean, I've always got pictures available to me, which is good. High quality from great photographers. And also, you know, I'm quite confident in front of the camera. And, you know, so when I do film myself, it's not as if I'm just static. But it's stuff like that, even just the small things like what hashtags you use, or even just like working with other people. Not only because you want to work with them, but also because they've got an audience that they've not even thought of you. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of cross-contamination, cross-pollination, and it's just kind of learning how best to. It's kind of learning how best to manipulate people into buying your stuff or listening to your music. But that's a cynical way of looking at things.
Yes, I always find the whole music marketing side of things always interesting, because I watched a few people for a while now. You know, I watched you probably know these guys, like Barismo, is it? They're like it's like a woman and a man.
I don't know Barismo.
I
know Damien Keys.
Damien Keys. I know Damien Keys.
Yeah. Welsh boy he is.
Yeah. And like, I'm not disrespecting them. I think a lot of them do say similar things to each other, which is either a good thing or it's not a good thing. A lot of them are pushing playlists. A lot of them are pushing, you know, adverts on Instagram, on Facebook. And I came across this guy, and he's called Musformation. I'll have to send you the link later. Okay. And this guy he's completely different. He's got a completely different approach to all these. He's not completely against playlists or Spotify or like ads on Facebook or whatever, but his focus, he says, you need to build a niche audience that are like a cult, and cultivate that audience and try and go from there. And he's on about creating content. You know, he's talking about, I'm sure you got a plan now for, you know, your next single. Is it? We've got to get pronunciation right. WOBBEGONE. WOBBEGONE. We're gonna put this in the title so everyone's got it. WOBBEGONE.
Just flash it over the screen.
Yeah, just flash it, like if my editing skills are good enough. But he was talking about how you release the audio, and then maybe 2 weeks later you release a lyric video, and then 2 weeks after that you release a music video, and it's to constantly get into somebody's head like, I'm sure you know in marketing, someone's got to hear or see something multiple times before they actually, decide whether they like it. And
Well, it's funny you should say that, really, because like I've been experimenting, really.
Mm.
So when I released Juniper back in October,
Mm.
it was very much a big pre-campaign. I had probably about 4 weeks worth of content, countdowns, teaser trailers, ask me on Instagram stories and whatever.
Yeah.
And it came out and lots of people listened to it. I was very happy. And then 2 weeks later, I released a music video and lots of people liked that as well.
Yeah.
And in between the release of the audio and the music video, there was, some more content to promote. The next release was the short EP, Fake Yourself, which was the piano pieces. And I decided instead for that one to do a post campaign, which, a week before, a little bit of build up, songs come out, and then the weeks after, then kind of promote it. And I've been trying just different things. So, for example, for WOBBEGONE, which is coming out on the 18th of June on all platforms, I'm releasing that with a music video on the same day because I haven't done that before.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see because in my head, it's like if you release it as a song and as a video at the same time, you're going to get people who may only listen to it once.
Mm.
But if you have it separate, you might get someone who listens to it twice.
Yeah.
But also, some people don't listen to songs via Spotify. Some people just like to sit down and watch a video and watch a song. So when you release that audio, they might not catch it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's swings and roundabouts, really. And I'm excited to see what difference there will be, and if there will be any markable difference, because it might just be the same as the previous releases. But this is the thing, all these YouTube marketers, I was saying to a friend the other day, which was, if you're a photographer, there's three types of photographers. There's professional photographers who get paid to take photographs. There's amateur photographers who don't get paid to take photographs.
Yeah.
And then there's photographers who spend their entire career telling other selling a course on how to be a photographer.
Yeah.
And it's the same with music as
100%.
well. No disrespect to people like Adam Ivy or Damien Keys or whatever, but there seems to be a huge prevalence of people saying, "Look how successful I am, and I'm a musician." But they earn their income from telling musicians how to be musicians, even though I've never heard of them. You know what I mean?
No, I get that for sure. It's an interesting one. Like I mentioned the Muse Formation again because he was actually I should really know his name, but he managed a few bands and stuff. And like I'm not into like that, the genres that he managed, but I did recognize some of the names. I'm like, okay, so this guy does have an idea of what he's doing. And obviously things change. There's always this argument about, is it easier now or was it easier then to sort of be successful as a musician? And I mean, really, I think it's different. I don't think it's any harder or any easier. I just think that what you have to do has changed. So, back then, obviously it was less saturated, back in the 90s and beforehand, before the internet. If you were on a record label and you had the right connections, you were probably going to go pretty far if you were marketed well in that sense. But now, because most people, if you've got a little bit of a budget, you can buy, Instagram ads or Facebook ads, and you can get in front of literally hundreds of thousands of people. But then everyone can do that. So it's like, why should I pick you over the next guy? That's the thing. So I
think also the biggest problem is that, I mean, for the artists, there was never really money in the music business, but this is
true.
less so now. And I
Yes.
know this is a very contentious issue between musicians because streaming services are incredibly unfair to the artists that create their platform, really. And so, if you're a musician and you want to make the greatest music that you can, you need to hone your craft, and you can't really do that if you're working all the time because, you get home and you're exhausted, and people say, oh, if you really want this, you're going to have to work like 14, 16, 18 hours a day. And it's like, okay, that's true, but it's also like, where's the return for that? I mean, I'm quite fortunate, and so are you, to be able to release regularly.
Yeah.
But I know some artists, especially over lockdown, who have been properly screwed over and have just been sitting on their hands because they can't do anything and they're just frustrated themselves.
Mm.
And on the one hand, you say to yourself, you got to change with the industry no matter what happens. You got to, it's keeping on evolving. You can't be left behind.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you say, how many next huge acts have gone amiss just because the industry isn't optimized for people's success? It's optimized for
It's true.
the record labels and the publishing houses to reap the benefits.
Yeah, that's true. I always think though, it's like, I suppose the alternative to that is, it's like, but although that's the way it is, it's sort of you either comply or you die type of thing. So
Yeah.
it's like, I think about like over lockdown. Like, okay, I'm lucky enough. I've got my Blue Yeti here. I don't use this to record my tracks. I have a Rode in the corner, which is better, Rode NT2A, and I think back to when I first started making music. I was working with a producer, and it was summer 2016. I'd been rapping maybe like 8 months at the time, and he said that he's going to stop producing. He doesn't have any love in it anymore. And then I was like, I'm faced with two choices. Then I'm faced with, well, do I stop doing music as well, or do I? It didn't even cross my mind just to get beats off on the internet. I just thought, well, I've got to start making beats. So I, wherever it may be at the moment, I got this little thing here, little
Okay.
MPD 218, and
Yeah, I've got an Akai as well. Mine's just a MIDI keyboard. Yours is the full launchpad.
yeah, and I got the there's like a free trial version of Ableton with that. I think it was shortly after I got this Blue Yeti mic, and I just started making demos by myself because it was like either a sink or swim scenario. And I'm just like, well, this is what I've got to do. I've got to start making music myself. And it's like, it's the same with the streaming things. Like, again, I feel you, and I feel everyone when it comes to streaming. Like, I can get, you need like, it's like 3,000 streams is the equivalent to like it's either $1 or £1. Like 3,000 streams, like that is insane. But then I think like, well, I'm not gonna get money from a stream, so that's why I'm not so fussed these days where I'm like getting on playlists or whatever, because I think like streams, who cares how many streams you got? But like I've been selling merch, so like I've actually got one at hand right now. I got like a Charlie J
Hey,
t-shirt.
here's his plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. I mean, obviously people who are just listening to the audio can't see. You've got the J logo there. It looks like an L, which is the other way around at the moment. Charlie J in the sleeve, and all these different things. And like, I've only got 5 left. I bought 50. Like, I literally sold out of them. And this is while we've been in lockdown. And I'm like thinking, like, I'm not gonna tell everyone in the world how much profit I'm making on the t-shirts, but it's a good amount. It covers my costs now. I've ordered 50 more, like different colours and stuff. Like I don't have the biggest fan base in the world, like, but because of merch, I'm able to make more money from my music than most artists who are my size. It's about thinking outside the box. Like if you created like Mr Bewlay merch like right now, there will probably be some people who will buy it. Like realistically, I think I mentioned this in one of the other episodes. I was saying, if you can get 100 people who are able to spend £10 a month on your music, whether that's merch, tickets to shows, even a Patreon or something, 100 fans is not that many. But if they're willing to spend £10 a month, then that's £1,000. That covers your rent, that covers your bills. So
Yeah, so I definitely hear you. Definitely. So I've already got some contacts who make bespoke pieces, items. I'm not going to give too much away. That I'm in talks with, make some merchandise. So I'm doing next month, July. I've got some. It's my 2nd anniversary as a producing musician. So I've got some surprises, and I've got some new things which I'm organizing and planning.
nice.
And so after that, it's going to be, because what I'm doing next month is something that I've never done before. So I'm kind of jumping head first into this. And then after that, I'm going to definitely look at merch, because it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I feel like I am releasing things a good enough rate now that no longer releasing tracks now is no longer something that takes up all of my energy. I'm like,
Yeah.
what, 4 or 5 months in advance. I mean, this next song, "Wobbegone," has been done since January.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? So if I have got, um, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Sorry, I thought you
I know
finished for a
I
second.
know. If everyone's wondering,
Um,
we're currently on tethered 3G or 4G or something because my Wi-Fi is playing up.
Play the
But
risky
we're
game.
trying. We're trying.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna delve headfirst into merchandise. Never done it before.
Mm.
And it's interesting because obviously I've got quite a visual style and I've got some cool ideas for things like posters and t-shirts and some other a bit more a bit more unique items. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to doing that because also it's just a way of promotion as well. If someone's
Mm.
like, "Hey, that's a cool necklace you've got. Who's that guy?" And they say, "Oh, this is from a musician I follow."
Yeah.
Like something like your t-shirt, it's understated enough people to be like, "I can wear this every day,"
Mm.
without it being just like a regular band t-shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was
If
the.
someone says, "Oh, that's a cool t-shirt. Where did you get it from?" "Oh, actually, I didn't get it from a shop. I got it from this small band or this small artist that I follow."
Yeah, that was the plan with it. I just wanted something that was a bit like, you can wear it with anything. That's it at the end of the day. I didn't want just my face, my big like face on everything, and people are like, nah, I'll buy it to support him, but I'm not going to wear it out. Like that's a bad
Yeah.
position. I mean, my stickers have got my face on. We're going to see them there with the QR code and all that as well. But I always get people. I always say this. It's usually older people. They say, "Oh, that's great, but if you want to change your style, you can't keep this." And they always go on about the beard, and I'm like, "Yeah, I've had my beard now for like I'm 21, but I've had my beard for like 4 years now. My receding hairline is what I'm worrying about. That's gonna go. I'm gonna have to get this edited as bald, like." But yeah, it's all good. It's just, and like you think as a fan of an artist as well, when you have something physical. I mean, I've even got the physical CDs now. I know I'm just pulling out everything these days with the merch and stuff. I got my last EP on CD. I got
I see that as CDs.
yeah, and we've even got like a booklet and stuff. But you think like you're a fan of an artist and you've got something that's actually physical to hold, like you've got more of a connection. And like to me, it goes back to what we're saying about cultivating like a proper fan base. Like, I want like diehard like proper fans. Like I want people who are like learning all my lyrics and buying all my merch and investing in me as an artist. Like I want to be, okay, cool. I do want to be able to do like shows and tour around and all that. Like that is one of my priorities. But when it comes to funding myself as a musician, like, I'm not sure. Like obviously you get a bit of money from modeling. Like what else do you do to fund your career at the moment?
I do all sorts of things. I do lots of odd jobs.
Yeah.
I'm very much a opportunistic money maker.
Yeah.
Very much. I give my skills and my hand to whoever wants it, and I'm lucky enough to have lots of people around me who are in need of people just to give them a hand of stuff.
Mm.
Like, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've got a small following, but like, I connect with all my followers.
Yeah.
So like, if I post something, I get lots of comments on it, and if I share something, lots of people respond to it, and I see some people with 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 followers, and yet only get like under 100 likes on a post, like on a high quality post as well. And I don't know, it kind of don't know what it's like to be like that, and I don't know if I could be like that. Even something as simple as just thanking or just responding to every comment on a post or every message that someone sends to you. It's the small things like that yeah, okay, some people want to be a bit distant when they become an artist because there are people who can be a little bit fanatical, and there are people who can be a bit dangerous with that love for a musician.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're giving you their time, the entertainment that you're putting out. Just a simple thank you. It helps cultivate people who will want to go with you on your journey.
Yeah.
I hope so, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one, though. I think a lot of the times this goes back to the whole, when we talk, I briefly mentioned playlists and buying ads and stuff. Like, obviously, you can actually buy followers as well. and there's obviously a lot of things that people do on social media just to try and get the followers up, whether that's like a follow for follow or something like that. And they're not really like real fans. And I understand that there is a little bit of a psychological thing where it's like, oh cool, wow, this person's got 10,000 followers, they must be something important. When if only 1% of those 10,000 followers are actual fans versus a guy who's got 1,000 followers but 20% of real fans. The guy with 1,000 followers has got 200 real fans. The guy with 10,000 has only got 100. So when it comes to real fans who really support and they're in person, this bigger number doesn't really show the full picture.
Yeah, and also like I know my fans. Like I've chatted to my fans, and I message my fans, and they message me, and you know we keep in contact, and that's what kind of keeps me going, really. And so I want to say 20 of my fans listening here, thank you so very much for your continued support. But honestly, like literally, when I see people just send me a message being like, hey, that photo you put out was really awesome, or like, oh, that new song you put out was such a bop.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, you know, even though streams account for 0.0003 of a pence or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care, because at the end of the day, they're the people who are shouting your name. They're the people who are telling their friends about you, and they're the people who hopefully will continue to support you throughout your career if you want to make music a career.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that as well, because like obviously you were on the Forte project, wasn't it?
So it was, yeah,
2020 Forte, because like
yeah,
yeah, it's funny year to be on it, but it's like because I applied for Forte twice, unsuccessful on both occasions, but like what was that like for you then, being a participant of a mentoring scheme like that?
Hugely useful. Forte is useful. The thing with Forte is, obviously, when I came to Cardiff and I started making music, I was unknown to a degree. I mean, I had a bit of a reputation just because of some of the things I used to do on stage, which got me into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
But obviously, they helped with the whole seminar thing. They helped with a little bit of funding. They helped with the mentorship problem. If I said, because I'm very grand, I always punch above my own weight, and I have very grand plans. Like, hell, even the Juniper music video that I did with you and with Aiden and Capture Film. I mean, that was the first music video I did, and that was a pretty big undertaking. We were hiring out spaces. We had actors. We had extras. We had lights. We had cameras. We created quite a cinematic music video for what it was. So like if I had an idea like that, I could just message the Forte team and say like, hey, I'm doing this. This is some problems I have. How can I resolve these things? And also it just lent a validity and a legitimacy to my brand, which helps a huge amount. Because if I go to a promoter now and I say I've been on Forte, they're more likely to stop and to listen or to look at what I'm trying to propose to them. And I think that's a big deal with music, is legitimacy. Not in the sense of is this person rapping about, you know, coming from the streets, but they're actually some middle class kids, or if they're like some punk outfit that actually has just got rich parents or whatever. Not like that, but legitimacy is in, I can prove to you that people who know what they're doing like what I do. Now, as far as applying for Forte is concerned, a lot of people apply for it when they don't need it. When I mean, someone like you're quite established, and you already you're selling merch, and you're releasing songs, and you've got a fan base. So a lot of the stuff that they can help you with, you already know. And so I think a lot of people go into Forte, or they apply for Forte, thinking this will be my my kind of ticket to conquering South Wales or Wales or whatever. It doesn't really work like that. It's more honing your craft and kind of rounding off the edges, and making sure that what you're doing is so much proper, but it's following the procedures that it needs to follow
Yeah, no, I get that.
in order to get the best product that you can.
I remember because when I first applied for it back in, well, yeah, it must have been 2019. It would have been for the year 2020. But I remember I was speaking to Otto because he did open mic night at,
Yeah.
I forget where it was now. But yeah, Otto was hosting an open mic night. So shout out to Otto, he's a legend, he is.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I remember him saying, he said similar to you. He said, for some people it's not the right thing because they already know what they're doing and it's not needed. But like, yeah, I feel back then I maybe would have benefited from something like that because it would have maybe helped me get more of a foothold in the Welsh music industry. Because if I'm being completely honest, when it comes to the hip hop scene here, not the other scenes, as far as I've experienced. I've been to plenty of open mic nights. I've been to before things shut, gigs for other genres, and they've been very welcoming. But when it comes to the hip hop scene here, they're not. That's the honest truth. They're not very welcoming. I've had times where I've been on stage in performances and they've cut the mic out before I've rapped on a cypher and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. I've had times where people have forgot to put me on set lists and stuff, even when I've hit them up. But I'll still turn up there with a USB stick and a set ready in case somebody drops out, and I'll perform. But I felt like, because that was one of the things they came back. They said the first time I applied, they were like, we're not sure enough people actually know who you are yet. We don't recognise your name. And again, this is funny how it all connects, because this goes back to the marketing thing about people seeing your name a few times and recognising who you are before they give that opportunity. Like when I was promoting my EP, I had a PR, like a press release stuff all done. I had like an email sent out to a bunch of Welsh music blogs. So it was good. But I knew that this first time was just getting in front of people and being like, right, okay, this is Charlie J. This is the music he makes. It's good music, very good music. If they're not going to share it this time, that's okay. But the next time I come to them with something that is, again, a brilliant project, good music, they're going to be right, okay, this is the second time now he's done this. People know him, he's selling merch, he's putting on his own shows, which is, part of my plan when things open up. He's got his own podcast show going. People know him, okay, maybe we're going to share it this time because people actually know who he is. That's sort of the aim. So I know that I've got to get in front of people a few times before they really, warm up to me and just get to the point where I'm undeniable. It's going to get to the point where it's like, well, we can't say no to Charlie performing at this show because he's going to bring a lot of people.
It's funny you should say that, because I've got a little bit of a mantra that I follow, which is always try and do what they want you to do. If they either reject you or you don't get anywhere, just do it yourself.
Yeah, I mean? Exactly.
So like, if I've applied for like gigs and not got them, and so instead of just being like downtrodden, I just go, all right, I'll put my own on. Or like, you know what I mean? Like even something like this, like, every time I release something, I do the whole email spiel and I message lots of publications and such. And it's like anything in music. Most people will either ignore you or they won't see it, or they'll just say, no, it's not our cup of tea. It's like, okay, that's fine. So I just go out and I do things like this, and I just find people who it's kind of just the mentality of, if you're kicking down the door 100 times and it doesn't budge, go around the back, like just build your own door.
Build your own door.
Like, don't even break into the house. Build your own house, like
because
make it the best house you can.
Yeah, because this was interesting. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really know any other podcasts that interview like South Wales artists. Like, big ups to this. Like, I know the Central Club. I'm not sure if they don't think they specifically do musicians. But that's a good podcast, to be fair. So shout out to them. I know sometimes Horizons do interviews with people. I don't see that all the time, but I have seen a few of them. This sometimes feels like I'm throwing shade, but it's like I'm not. Big ups to everything Horizons do. They actually shared one of my songs.
I mean, Horizons this is a good example because like I applied for Horizons,
Mm.
didn't get it, so I just said, all right, I'll fund it myself.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
that's the
It's like
same.
if you, know,
You know, you're just gonna keep going. So I thought, like, well, there's no one who's doing like a regular podcast or anything like this. So I'm gonna create this platform. I'm gonna make it myself. You know, this is what I wanted to do. Is chat with Charlie. It's not just gonna be musicians. There're gonna be other people on here as well, eventually. But I just thought, well, yeah, I'm gonna do this so people can come to me. And then
also
I'll
like
go,
for someone like you, like if you start inviting on people from the local hip hop scene,
mm,
legitimizes you, right?
yeah,
Like that's net. I mean, this is not only for your own promotional content. This is not only for the person you're interviewing's promotional content, but this is also a way for you to network,
exactly.
for you to have a chat with someone, even if it's like a promoter. It doesn't have to be an artist. It could be a promoter or a
Exactly.
manager or a record label owner.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a way of being like, this is one of the things with Forte. We had seminars with people who work in the industry, both in the industry at large, the industry in the UK, as well as the industry in Wales and South Wales.
Mm.
And for the most part, some of them didn't, but for the most part, a lot of them gave their emails out and was just like, hey, if you've got any queries, just shoot us an email.
Mm.
So I did. I thought of a query that I could ask them, or I just sent them an email saying, hey, you know, thanks for talking to us. So it means that if I see those people again,
Mm.
then I'll be like, oh, wait, I know you. We've had a small chat. We've already had a little exchange.
Yeah.
Rather than it being, hey, you don't know me, but I need something from you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what a lot of people do, and which is kind of the way you make it in the music industry. But
Yeah.
if you can say, hey, remember that joke we've had a couple of months ago via email? Ha, isn't that funny? Can I ask you a favor?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, so speaking of which, I got a open mic night I'm going to in Bristol tonight. So
Ooh.
yeah, we got a bit of travel, but that's the plan for today. Because I was looking at some of the open mic nights that are starting to come back open. I used to do loads around Cardiff back in the day, but
Yeah.
there's one and they're like,
And venues are disappearing. In
yeah,
Cardiff.
they're disappearing in
There's a lot
Cardiff.
of
So it's like, well, maybe we've got to go across the bridge. But yeah, and I'm just like, you know, can I do an old school hip hop jazz rap set? And they replied, it's like, some places, this got on my nerves, this did. It's like, some places have a rule of no underwall. Our rule is no rap. Sorry, good luck.
Really?
I'm just like, yo, what's this about? Like, we're in 2021. But listen to my music. Like, I'm doing, yeah. And I just thought, nah. So,
I mean, like for someone like you, what's stopping you from just hiring out a venue, some acts,
yeah,
and on a night promoting it?
that is the plan.
I mean, hiring out a venue is like what, 200 odd quid, maybe
Yeah.
300.
Mm.
But like, it's not as if you're gonna bust the bank, and if you're selling tickets,
Exactly.
you might even make some of that money back.
Yeah, so that's that is actually part of the plan. I have been speaking to I think her name's Liz, the woman who co-owns the Moon Club.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, nah, she's a legend. So I have spoken to her a bit as well about putting stuff on, but we'll get this going. That's the plan. Yeah. Before we go though, any last words you got to say about your one sec? WOBBEGONE.
WOBBEGONE.
WOBBEGONE,
So I know
yeah.
we haven't spoke about it too much today, but got a new song coming out on the 18th of June, which is called WOBBEGONE. It's the best song that I've released so far,
There you
and
go.
it'll be available on all platforms, plus a music video as well on the 18th of June. That's WOBBEGONE.
18th of
WOBBEGONE.
We'll be in the title of this anyway. Yeah, again, great speaking to you, even though I've probably got no data left in my phone now.
Thank you for having me, Charlie. I
No
appreciate
worries.
it.
Good stuff. Well, we probably just leave it there. So yeah, bless, and hopefully we'll have a new episode soon. So 18th of June, WOBBEGONE, gonna be music video as well.